I have made several videos about traveling solo before, and every time I do, I get comments where people are like, I want to do this so badly, but I just don't know where to start, or I'm afraid, or my personal favorite, my family thinks I'm crazy. And every time I get those comments, I think, okay, I didn't do my job in this video. I didn't give you enough. So this video, we're going deep. This is what I wish existed when I took my first solo trip. We are gonna talk about mindset, safety, loneliness, money, what to actually take with you, and what to do when things go wrong. This is my ultimate guide for solo female travel, so get comfortable. If you're new here, hi, I'm Annie. I run the account Average Girl Does Cool Things. I am a frequent solo traveler. I'm a frequent group traveler. I'm just a frequent traveler. And this is what I really know about solo travel. Solo travel, as a woman, can be one of the most transformative things that you can do in your life. It's changed me, it's changed so many of the women around me, but I also know it can be really freaking scary. So in this video, I've split everything I know into 5 areas. And these are the things that can really make or break a solo trip. And by the way, I've also made a free guide that goes along with this video, so if you want that, just check out the description below. Okay, here are the 5 things that are gonna make or break your solo trip. Number 1 is mindset. Okay, we have to start with mindset because if we don't start with mindset, nothing else matters. And the thing about solo traveling is that nobody is born comfortable doing it. There is a tremendous amount of discomfort that you're going to have to overcome to go on your first trip. I was super nervous. I second guessed myself. I almost didn't go. I was like, I'm just gonna stay in my hotel room and never leave. And I think one of the biggest lies we tell ourselves is that we need to be ready before we start something, right? It's like, oh, saying I need to be in shape before I go to the gym. No, that's not where you're gonna learn the skill. You learn by doing. And so you kind of just have to jump in. In fact, you're probably not gonna feel comfortable until 48 hours into the trip. And the second thing about mindset is that a lot of women are waiting for permission to go do these things. They're waiting for permission from a partner or a parent or just society in general, which, I'm gonna be honest, ain't coming. I see this on threads a lot where women will post and they're saying I'm thinking about taking my first solo trip. Where should I go? They're not actually looking for advice on where to go. They're looking for permission to go. And so I want you to consider this your permission slip. You are a grown-ass adult, take the trip. Now, I didn't start traveling seriously until I was 35 years old. So at that point, I had the resources to do it, which was really, really helpful. But I kind of got forced into it, quite honestly. I went through a major life change. I went through an unexpected divorce. I had to get a new job. And these changes and shifts were the things that led me to get into traveling. I took one big safari trip and then it unlocked everything for me. And I started to think about how I could organize my entire life around doing this thing. Which, by the way, I have a whole video on this. If you want the inside story, I'll put it up here. And all of those changes were really, really scary. But the thing that's important to recognize here is that fear is pointing you towards something, okay? Fear can actually be really, really useful. There's a difference between fear that is scary, scary danger and fear that is just I'm super uncomfortable and I'm afraid to try this. Usually when it's that kind of fear, that's telling you that something is worth doing. And honestly, your first trip doesn't have to be some crazy impressive thing. You don't have to go on a safari for your first trip. In fact, I think that's a terrible idea. Do not go on a safari for your first solo trip. It could just be a drive to another city to stay for a long weekend, or maybe you go glamping at a national park. The point isn't the destination. The point is learning how to be comfortable with just being with yourself and being resourceful and relying on yourself. And then that skill will scale up. So start smaller than you think you need to. Part 2, we're gonna talk about the destinations. I really think about 3 main questions when I think about a destination that's great for a solo travel. Number 1, is it safe? That's the most obvious thing. It's gotta be a safe place to go. So a couple ways you can research safety. Number 1, you can check your country's foreign affairs office, your State Department, whatever that is for you, and pull travel briefs on different countries, and that will kind of give you the lay of the land of what's going on. Number 2, there's some great solo female travel Facebook groups, Instagram creators. Lonely Planet has some great resources, all very Googleable stuff to find out what other women have had as experiences when they travel to specific countries. And along that line, go follow solo female creators. There are some really amazing ones. I'll leave some of my favorite ones down in the description that you should go follow along. But these women are super badass and they will show you the way. And if you just want a list, I'll give you that too. Some of the greatest destinations for solo female travel include Iceland, Ireland, Japan, Portugal, and New Zealand. These are places that are safe, they have great infrastructure, they mostly speak English, so English is like one of the most universal languages, so if you need help, you can ask for help in English, and they're just really, really pretty. Question 2, speaking of English, is the language accessible? I'm not saying to like only go to English-speaking countries if English is your main language or if you speak English. I'm not saying that like you have to go to an English-speaking country, but if English is widely spoken there, you're gonna have a much easier time. It's gonna take that like extra layer of anxiety off your plate. So, you know, you can try in the local language. Like I'm thinking about if you're going to Paris, right? You always try in French first, but if like something's wrong and you really need help, you can find somebody who speaks English to help you. So you can push yourself further, but like maybe not just on trip 1. And the third thing I really think about when I'm traveling solo is, can I get around independently? Do they have a good transit system in place for me to be able to get around without having to rely on Ubers and taxis all the time? Because those tend to get a little more expensive and, you know, are not always 100% trustworthy. I want to go somewhere that's like really walkable once I get to my destination. That way I know what I'm signing up for before I even get in the country. And pro tip here, I want you to really think about how are you getting from the airport to your hotel or your destination, because you're gonna land, you're gonna be tired, you might be a little bit jet lagged, and so you wanna have a plan in place and not just be winging it when you land. That's one of my favorite things to splurge on. If I'm in another country that like doesn't speak English as their primary language, I'll book a car service to pick me up at the airport. It's a large part of my budget, but it's the way I feel safest arriving. Part 3, we're gonna talk about what to plan. So I always say when I'm traveling, I wanna book my flights, I wanna know when I'm getting there, when I'm leaving. And honestly, if you're going to a foreign country, you need to know that. They're gonna ask that probably upon entry. So you need to know when you're arriving, when you're leaving. You wanna have at least a couple nights accommodations booked, if not all of your accommodations booked. I feel much safer having something in place for the whole time. And you wanna book anything that has to be booked in advance that are like timed entry or like tickets for major attractions or like a restaurant reservation for some place that you really, really wanna go. Everything else, I want you to leave unscheduled. And I know for some of you that's really, really hard, I'm sorry, but I want you to leave it unscheduled because you need to leave breathing space for those like magic moments to happen. The best moments you're gonna have happen in unscheduled times. So think about planning like 60% of your trip and then leaving 40% open to some magic. The other part of planning here is packing. And packing for solo travel. This is one of those cases where like I am really, really, really going to get after you and I want you to pack carry-on only. Why? Because if you are going to be moving around as like a solo person, you do not want to be lugging a bunch of luggage onto trains or buses or like even in taxis and stuff. It's a lot more stuff to lose. It makes you look like a large target. Like do your darndest to keep your packing consolidated in one bag. And even better, honestly, if you're going to like Europe, say, where it's a lot of cobblestone streets and stuff, think about packing in a large duffel. Like use the Patagonia duffel, which is something I really, really love to take with me when I'm going on these sort of like week-long trips by myself. Like you gotta carry it. If you cannot carry your bag for 2 city blocks on your own, you're taking too much. You got too much with you. Now, a couple things that you're gonna pack that are safety related, and this will lead us into our safety section, but a couple things I wanna make sure that you pack. Number 1, a doorstop. You can just get like a cheapy doorstop off of Amazon. This is actually a really great security measure. So if you put that when you're inside your hotel room, you put it up inside your hotel room, if somebody actually gets the door open, they're gonna push and it's gonna like stick on the doorstop. They also make doorstop alarms, which are pretty amazing and they're very, very loud. So use with caution. Number 2, a portable charger, because your phone is your lifeline. I always say if I like run into a problem, if I have a working phone and a credit card, like I can solve anything. The key there is the working phone. So having a portable charger is seriously a lifeline. Number 3, a crossbody bag. This is so important when you are running around exploring places. Having a crossbody bag allows you to keep it close to your body. Make sure you have one that like zippers up, so it makes you like less of a target for pickpockets. Crossbody bag is totally the way to go, so that somebody doesn't like run up and snatch it. Never, ever like use a backpack when you're walking around a city because it's super easy for somebody to just slip it open, slip inside and grab whatever. Crossbody bag is the way to go. Also want to make sure that you have a physical copy of wherever you are staying, and I like to have a physical copy of my passport. So sometimes I'll take my passport with me. Some places you're actually required to have it on you as identification, but if I can get away with leaving it in my hotel room, I prefer that. But I do like to have at least a picture of my passport on my phone just in case. Another thing I always do is leave a backup credit card in my suitcase. Yeah, true story. And this has come in handy where like I left my purse somewhere. I did this when I was in Scotland. I left my purse in the car and thankfully I got it back, but I wasn't panicking because I had my passport on me and I had a backup credit card that I left in my suitcase. So I was like, well, it would suck to lose the purse and the stuff that was in it, but if I don't get it back, I can at least get home. And the other thing you might want to do is screenshot your maps. I like to pin whatever my hotel is on my iPhone, and then I'll take a screenshot so I have it. And that way, if the Wi-Fi isn't working for some reason, I still have a map and know where I'm staying and I can get back home. So always put a contingency plan in place just in case you don't have access to Wi-Fi or cell service. Okay, let's talk about the big one. This is the one that most people are worried about. It's safety. First thing you want to do if you are going abroad, register yourself with STEP, which is the State Department travel program. This program is supposed to help you if you are in an area that is impacted by some sort of natural disaster, war, whatever. It lets the country, the State Department, know that you're there and helps them to coordinate like information and evacuation. Now I know the people who were in the Middle East when the latest war launched did not have a good result with STEP, which is really, really disappointing. I'm going to continue to register for it just in case, but it's just an extra safety step that you can take. Number two, share your full itinerary with a trusted friend at home. I love to use TripIt. I've talked about TripIt before. I just give my mom access to my TripIt so she knows where I am at all the times. And sometimes that's too much, but it is really helpful to have somebody else who knows where you are. Number three, keep a photo backup of all your important documents. Honestly, I just put these in the cloud for myself. You can also email them to yourself. That's really helpful. And this is particularly helpful for like when you're entering a new country, like if you're going through customs or something and you need like a health form or you know, the copy of your address or whatever, I just like screenshot and I keep that all in a folder in my phone. Makes it super easy to pull that up when I'm going through customs. The other thing I want you to do is get travel insurance and check your travel insurance, check your medical coverage. When you are traveling, especially if you're going on like a big adventure, you might want to purchase medical coverage, but travel insurance just gives you like an extra peace of mind that, you know, if something does go wrong, if you have to cancel for some reason, something gets stolen, whatever, you have like travel insurance in your corner to back you up. Your credit card insurance may help you out with some things, but more comprehensive travel insurance is going to like be a bigger bucket to catch things that go wrong. And I have an affiliate link for travel insurance that I recommend down in the description below. Okay, so then when you're there in wherever you're traveling to, the biggest way to keep yourself safe is to look like you know what you're doing. So you want to move with purpose. You want to walk with purpose. Never be like walking with your phone out, looking at your phone. You want to, like, if you're lost or something, pull over, go into a cafe or something and figure it out. But you never want to be like out in the street amongst the people, not looking like you know what you're doing. In fact, I've gotten so good at looking like I know what I'm doing that sometimes I get asked questions and I'm like, that happened to me when I was in Barcelona. I was like walking around Barcelona and just wandering, and this like woman stopped me and she had a map. It was from McDonald's, but it was like of the city. And she asked me a question about where something was. And I was like, ma'am, I've been here for 2 hours. I have no idea what's going on, but I just looked like I knew what I was doing. So that was a great compliment. So be aware, don't have your phone in your pocket, don't have headphones in, you know, walk with confidence, look like you know where you're going, what you're doing. And then I mentioned the doorstop alarm. That's the other thing that's really helpful. The other thing I want to mention here is like, please don't post your location in real time. I never post until I've left a hotel. That way, if there is somebody just like creeping on your stories or whatever, they don't know where you are. Also, a lot of times like there's geotagging going on you're not aware of. If you're like in a cafe and you tag them, then it goes out to like their stories. There's a lot of things we are not in control of on the internet. And so the safest plan there is just to wait. Just wait a day or two to post wherever you want to post. And along with that, you know, use common sense when you're meeting new people. Obviously, like, enjoy it, chat with people. That's one of the most transformative things you can do when you're traveling, is to meet other travelers or even locals and share stories and learn about each other. But some common safety tools, right? Like, don't share your hotel name, never share your hotel number. Come on, y'all, don't do that. Don't follow anybody back to their place. Don't like get in the car with anybody. And like, if you want to keep hanging out with somebody, like just stay in a public spot. Pick a public place, right? Like, just trust your gut. If something feels off, it probably is. Like, get out of the situation. Don't worry about being rude. Be rude. Like, your life, your safety is more important than if somebody thinks you're nice or not. The last thing I want to talk about are the intangibles. So number one, just know that like, yeah, loneliness happens and it sucks, but it's like a real part of traveling by yourself. And I honestly think it can be like kind of transformative. Like, it can push you towards what you really want in life. So I want you to get comfortable like sitting in that feeling, maybe take a journal with you, but like don't don't try to cover it up. Don't try to fix it. Like, that is information for you. And then usually like it passes and you come out of it like transformed. So use it as a tool. Number 2, know that things will go wrong. And like I mentioned before, if you've got a working phone and a credit card, you can absolutely solve anything. If you don't have a working phone, but you have a credit card, you can still probably solve most things. If you don't have either, I still believe that you can solve it. And honestly, it's solving those problems that make you feel kind of invincible. So just remember that like everything is figure outable. The third intangible is that people are gonna question your choices and your decision. And honestly, fuck 'em. That's a little harsh, but like hold your boundary, okay? You deserve to go, you deserve the transformation. So like, again, that permission slip, go anyway. Okay, that is everything I have for you. Don't forget, I have that free download down in the description to help you get started with your first solo female trip. If you're afraid to take a solo female trip, we also run group adventures here at Average Girl, so go check out that info as well. You can come with us to one of our national park glamping adventures with a great group of women. They are so much fun. Okay, I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please give us a like and a subscribe, and also just drop in the comments, like, where do you wanna go on your first solo adventure? Like, let's help get you there. Okay, until next time, go create a life you love. Bye.